All right, and it's done. And we can see here, I got that thing still thing. We can move it out if you want to see how big it is or what the pieces look like on the inside. And we've already solved the normals problem here, so we don't need to do that again. We do have all the color transferred over, so now you can really see the color is transferred over from the cutting planes. Obviously, we don't really want that, but it's good for debugging and such. The point is more that you can see all the little pieces that we have now in between the big pieces. And that's really great. That's what's going to make the simulation look really great, to make a big sense of scale. But in the meantime, we do need to delete that. Oops. So let's delete those attributes. We could obviously just turn off the color in the first place. I would rather just delete it after the fact. That way we can still have the color if we want it for debugging, and then just delete it later. So everything's good. Maybe we can even see smooth shaded again without any errors. It looks like we can, and that's nice for once. So that's cool. So now let's actually make a file cache. Let's actually just store this. We still haven't turned this into packed pieces, and you know we're going to get there pretty soon in order to feed this into the simulation and to do some other operations. But right now we don't need to do it. So file cache, and we'll say initial regions, something like that. So let's say we're only going to go to frame 96 or something like that for this simulation. And what else? Let's use that job variable we made and say, let's store these in some geo folder, and we'll literally call it whatever the name of this node is, which is file cache initial regions. We'll give it some version 0.bgo.sc. We aren't going to run a frame range cache of this because we only need to do it once. It's just the geometry. We're not doing the sim yet. Change this to save frame range only strict, not save frame range strict. And then blast this away, and let's just keep it at 1 and 1. And that's fine. Or even let's do 0 and 0, and we'll have this start on frame 0. And I'll tell you why later. But suffice to say, frame 0, just do it on 1 frame. Cool. If we middle click on this, you can see that the OS resolves correctly to file cache initial regions. Now, a nice thing that I like to do is go to parameters and channels, edit parameter interface. Let's actually add this thing here. We'll call it version. This will be a fun little way that we can say, we can just change this thing here and save at a different version if we want to. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say, instead of it being hard-coded to 0, so you'll notice I said copy parameter on this. I'm just going to click in here and say paste relative references, and it will put the backticks. This is the icon, or rather the character in the upper left-hand corner of your keyboard, not apostrophes, and this will do the channel rather as a string of this ver, the thing that we just made here. So now, if I middle click this, you'll see it resolves to that, V0. And if I were to change it, it would be V3 or whatever. Looks like we have 2 backslashes here, probably because I have a backslash in the job itself. We can get rid of that. I don't think it would actually matter either way, but for the sake of cleanliness, now we only have the 1 backslash. Cool. So now this is version 3. Obviously, we'll just start at version 0 and keep it like that. This will be nice because now later on, whenever I want to make a new file cache, I'll just copy this, paste it, change the name to something, and it's going to save it in a different location based on the name. It'll have a name that makes sense because it's what the node is called in the first place. And then we could also still just do this version thing. So that'll just be nice to keep that around. Cool. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's just save it. And voila, we are done with these initial regions. Let's see, we've added this whole section here, which we can call initial region cutters, something like that. And there, make a nice periwinkle perhaps, and then this can be, boom, the actual initial cut. Cool, so we've been doing a pretty good job keeping it nice and tidy so far, I think. Nodes are pretty well named and all that jazz. And now on to the next thing.